Welcome to AI Unraveled, your daily forensic briefing at the intersection of business and artificial intelligence. It is Tuesday, April 14th, 2026. I'm your host, Etienne Newman, professional engineer, broadcasting from Calgary, Alberta in Canada. Before we begin our autopsy of the market, a quick reminder: if you haven't done so yet, make sure to subscribe to AI Unraveled directly on Apple Podcasts so you can enjoy this strategic briefing and all our daily episodes completely ads-free. Today's episode is brought to you by Area and JamgaMind. When an autonomous AI agent is given a $100,000 corporate credit card to manage a retail store, standard IT security is obsolete. Area provides the zero-trust sandboxing required to govern these agentic workflows. And to navigate the massive M&A shifts happening right now, JamgaMind delivers the technical-grade audio forensics the C-suite relies on. Visit jamgamind.com. Today, we look at the agentic economy. We are going to deconstruct the real-world implications of AI acting as an employer. We will analyze the hostile internal memo from OpenAI attacking Anthropic's revenue accounting, break down Amazon's $10.8 billion Global Star acquisition, and look closely at the Stanford AI Index, confirming the geopolitical reality of the Chinese tech sector. Let's look at the bottom line.
Imagine looking at your company's P&L and realizing your top-performing branch manager doesn't actually have a heartbeat.
Right.
Like the one who just negotiated a new commercial lease, secured an initial working capital budget, and hired 3 new contractors. You see a line item for $100,000, you track it back to the department, but, when you go to knock on the manager's desk, there is no desk.
No desk at all.
Right. There's only a server rack. Today, we're looking at corporate credit card bills racked up entirely by software.
Yeah, which completely shatters the fundamental premise of a corporate ledger. A ledger assumes there is a human neck to wring when things go wrong.
Exactly.
We're transitioning out of an era where humans simply use tools to increase their output. We are entering an era where the tools themselves are holding the corporate cards, they're executing the strategy, and signing the vendor contracts.
Well, welcome to the deep dive. If you're listening to this today, April 14th, 2026, consider us your lead systems architects and forensic financial strategists.
Let's get into it.
Our mission today is to conduct a highly technical forensic autopsy of this week's enterprise news. And all of it points to a core narrative we are calling the agentic reality.
I love that term.
Right. The enterprise market has definitively shifted from theoretical white papers to real-world execution. AI is no longer a chatbot just sitting passively in a browser tab waiting for you to type a prompt.
And that shift is rewriting the rules of corporate finance in real time, while the general public is still getting distracted by shiny consumer hardware or the marketing hype of the latest model release.
Which is constant, by the way.
Oh, nonstop. But the actual war is playing out in the spreadsheets. If we connect this to the bigger picture, the sources we are unpacking today, from the massive 400-page Stanford AI Index to leaked internal memos from the top AI labs, they paint a pretty ruthless picture.
They really do.
We are watching a market aggressively hoarding infrastructure scale and engaging in brutal pre-IPO accounting warfare behind closed doors.
Yeah, and to understand how these massive macro financial shifts are happening, we actually need to start at the micro level. Let's look at the operational reality of this agentic reality playing out right now in San Francisco.
Okay.
There's a startup called Andon Labs, and they just deployed an experiment that sounds like science fiction, but is highly instructive. They built an AI agent named Luna and dropped it into physical retail.
Physical retail, not a simulation.
Right. They didn't give it a digital simulation. They gave it a 3-year lease on a real-world boutique space, a $100,000 working capital budget, and a live corporate credit card.
With a single unconstrained directive, which was basically just to turn a profit.
Yeah.
Luna was given total autonomy to conceptualize the boutique, source inventory, and actually post job listings to hire human floor staff.
Oh, wow.
It even conducted the initial screening interviews over Zoom, operating with its camera disabled, of course.
Okay, let's unpack this, because the technical stack making this possible is what really caught my eye. This isn't one monolithic brain doing everything.
Right, it's a patchwork.
Exactly. It's a modular Frankenstein-esque assembly. You have Claude Sonnet 4.6 handling the core reasoning like the business logic. Then it calls out to Gemini 3.1 Flashlight Preview specifically to handle the real-time, low-latency voice interactions during those Zoom interviews.
Which is smart.
Very smart. But the wildest part is how it actually sees the physical store. It doesn't have robot eyes or anything. It processes continuous screenshot intervals pulled directly from the boutique's security cameras to monitor inventory and floor traffic.
It is incredibly clever architecture, but it introduces a terrifying new surface area for risk.
How so?
Well, when you build a system that patches together different foundational models, you introduce latency and translation errors between those models.
Yeah.
Luna understands the mathematics of business strategy perfectly, but it lacks the contextual physical intuition of a human manager.
Let me push back on the terrifying part for a second, because some of the errors we saw in this experiment were objectively hilarious.
Fair enough.
Like, when Luna tried to hire a painter to prep the store, it navigated TaskRabbit and accidentally selected Afghanistan on a location drop-down menu.
Right, yeah.
Then, for the opening weekend, it completely botched the human staff schedule. It overlapped shifts and left the store effectively unmanaged during peak hours. It's like handing the keys to a Porsche to a brilliant teenager who just learned the physics of driving from a textbook.
Right.
But they have zero intuition for the actual road.
I mean, I see the humor in the TaskRabbit misclick, but let's look at the underlying mechanism of why that happened. Vision language models don't read the underlying code of a website the way a traditional web scraper does.
Right, they see pixels.
Exactly. They process the screen visually as a grid of pixels. To Luna, that drop-down menu was just a spatial coordinate. If its pixel mapping is off by a millimeter, it clicks Afghanistan instead of California.
Yeah, that makes sense.
In a blog post, that's a funny anecdote. But if that exact same spatial error happens while it is autonomously managing a $100,000 ad spend, or if it accidentally violates California labor laws during an unmonitored Zoom interview because it couldn't parse the visual cues of the candidate, the humor vanishes. Who gets sued? Andon Labs, Anthropic, Google.
When an AI agent is given a corporate credit card and total autonomy to hire contractors, standard identity and access management is obsolete. ARIA provides the necessary zero-trust micro-to-VM sandboxing to ensure your autonomous agents follow strict corporate governance.
Yeah, and to put that in perspective, a micro-VM means the agent isn't just running loose on your network with an open checkbook.
Right.
Every single action like opening a browser window to use TaskRabbit or initiating a Zoom call happens inside an isolated temporary digital bubble.
And if it messes up?
If the agent attempts an action outside its predefined financial or legal parameters, that bubble self-destructs before the action executes. That zero-trust architecture is going to be the defining enterprise hurdle of the next 12 months.
Because the AI is moving so fast.
Exactly. Because the next version of Luna, the one that doesn't misclick the drop-down menu, is only a generation away.
And the progression of that capability creates an immediate ripple effect. Because if you solve the liability of an AI hiring a painter in the physical world, you immediately unlock its ability to operate as a white-collar worker in the digital world.
Absolutely.
The operational cost savings from replacing a physical scheduler directly fund the deployment of digital agents. Which brings us to the news out of Microsoft this week.
This is huge.
Yeah, they are building a new class of agent deeply integrated into Microsoft 365 Copilot for their enterprise tier, heavily inspired by the open-source OpenClaw framework.
Which is a fundamental departure from the cloud-based copilots you might be using today.
Right, because those are reactive.
Exactly. Those tools wait for your prompt. This new architecture is an always-on background worker. It doesn't use standard next token prediction to just guess the next word in a sentence. It uses an agentic loop.
An agentic loop.
Yeah. It receives a complex, multi-step goal, breaks it down into smaller tasks, executes them over days or weeks, and self-reflects to correct its own errors along the way, either locally on your machine or in the cloud.
Here's where it gets really interesting, because if you cross-reference that capability with the 2026 Stanford AI Index that just dropped, a very dark picture emerges for a specific demographic.
It's pretty grim.
The report shows that developer employment for ages 22 to 25 has fallen nearly 20% since 2024.
Wow. 20%.
And that is happening at the exact same time that headcount for older senior engineers actually grew.
It is the definition of labor displacement, and the causality is completely clear. The junior developer isn't losing their job to a slightly better graduate from a rival university.
No.
They are losing it to that 2047 background process living inside Microsoft Office. If the AI can write the boilerplate code, structure the initial architecture, and run the preliminary QA, the senior engineer just becomes an editor.
If you are an IT director or an engineering manager listening to this right now, you have to be asking yourself a critical question. Like, if I rely on an AI to do all the entry-level scaffolding today, where do my 22-year-olds learn the ropes?
That's the problem.
How do I cultivate the senior engineers of 2036 if that bottom rung of the ladder has been completely sawed off to optimize this quarter's P&L?
The cynical reality is that many executives aren't looking that far ahead because the immediate margin expansion is too intoxicating.
Sure.
The Stanford report highlights a massive perception gap regarding this exact issue. 73% of AI experts claim to be optimistic about the impact of AI on jobs, but only 23% of the general public shares that optimism.
That's a huge gap.
You see this elite optimism perfectly encapsulated by Ray Kurzweil. He was on a panel this week at the HumanX event, doubling down on his prediction that we hit artificial general intelligence by 2029. He claimed the next 10 years are going to be absolutely fantastic.
I read those comments, but absolutely fantastic is doing a lot of heavy lifting there.
Oh, definitely.
I mean, if you are an enterprise executive watching your OpEx plummet because you just replaced a cohort of junior analysts with an OpenClaw-style agent, yes, your quarterly earnings call is going to be fantastic.
You're popping champagne.
Exactly. But if you are that 22-year-old staring at a 20% contraction in your addressable job market, it is a crisis.
And we have to follow the money. What are these massive tech giants doing with all that saved operating expense? They certainly aren't returning it all to shareholders.
No way.
They are aggressively weaponizing it to hoard underlying infrastructure and rewrite the rules of digital commerce. The Marketer Outlook released today shows exactly how this plays out at scale.
The ad numbers.
Yes. By the end of 2026, Meta is forecast to finally surpass Google in global ad revenue. Meta is projected to hit $243 billion, edging out Google's $239.5.
The total numbers are staggering, but the velocity is what shocked me. Meta is projected to grow at 24.1%. Google is crawling at 12%.
Yep. Google is lagging.
Google's share of global digital ad spend has been declining for 5 years. But I want to dig into how Meta executed this coup, because they didn't just build a better search engine. They bypassed search entirely.
Precisely. They applied the agentic reality to advertising. Historically, Google dominated because user intent was clear. You typed exactly what you wanted into a search bar.
Right.
Advertisers spent billions gaming search engine optimization to appear at the top. Meta realized that with advanced AI, user intent doesn't need to be typed. It can be predicted.
Oh, wow.
They deployed tools like Advantage Plus and heavily integrated AI-generated creative. They basically told advertisers, stop worrying about targeting parameters, give us a budget and a product line. Our agents will dynamically generate the ad copy, render the image, find the specific user who is most likely to buy it, and adjust the bid in real time.
That's insane. And meanwhile, Google is actively bleeding resources trying to fight AI-generated spam.
Yeah, it's a mess.
They're constantly updating policies to penalize sites using back button hijacking, where malicious AI generates thousands of fake keyword-stuffed pages that trap a user in a loop when they try to leave. Google is playing defense to protect the integrity of a search bar, while Meta's AI is proactively hunting down the consumer.
It's a totally different game.
Right. So what does this all mean? It's like playing a massive game of Monopoly, but instead of trying to buy properties on the board, Meta is using AI to bypass the dice entirely. You don't need a user to land on your space anymore if the AI can just reach across the board and take their money.
This raises an important question about the end game of all this M&A consolidation we are seeing, because if Meta is bypassing the dice, Amazon is simply buying the board itself.
Oh, the satellite news?
Yes. Look at Amazon's announcement today. They are acquiring Globalstar for $10.8 billion to launch Project Leo. It's a Starlink-esque satellite network for consumer internet by 2028.
$10.8 billion.
Yeah. They are moving away from relying on terrestrial telecom infrastructure. They want to own the physical pipe from orbit directly to your device.
And on the software side, the consolidation is just as aggressive. OpenAI is suddenly on a fintech acquisition tear. They just bought Hero Finance, which is essentially an acqui-hire of founder Ethan Block and his team, who built an AI-powered financial planning app. This basically confirms the open secret, that OpenAI is prepping a massive super app for the enterprise. They are merging their traditional desktop app with their new Atlas web browser, which allows multiple AI tabs to run simultaneously and integrating their Codex agent harness.
The strategy is brilliant and ruthless. For the last 3 years, these companies fought over who had the smartest generalized foundational model. That war is over. The model is now just a commoditized engine.
So what's the new war?
The new war is about owning specific, highly lucrative enterprise verticals. OpenAI buys a fintech team, plugs them into the Codex harness, and suddenly they aren't selling a chatbot anymore. They're selling a fully automated, AI-driven corporate finance department.
But developing those verticals and hoarding that infrastructure burns cash at an astronomical rate, which means these companies need massive influxes of public capital. Listen, trying to navigate this vendor shift based on hype is corporate malpractice. Stop collecting shiny beta apps and start deploying actual infrastructure. Etienne has audited the market for the AI Unraveled community. Head over to djamgmind.com/toolkit for the AI Executive Toolkit. This is a private, forensic vetted stack featuring tools like Chatbase and 11 Labs enterprise-grade weapons designed to drive actual governed ROI.
You absolutely need those forensic tools because the financial posturing between these vendors right now is incredibly deceptive.
Oh, for sure.
The battle for that public capital has triggered a cutthroat, opaque war over accounting standards.
Which brings us to the leaked memo that set the industry on fire today. Denise Dresser, the chief revenue officer at OpenAI, sent an internal memo that conveniently leaked to the press.
Very conveniently.
Right. It is a blistering, highly specific attack on Anthropic. Dresser dismisses Anthropic as a single-product company in a platform war. She critiques their recent compute shortages and claims their entire marketing strategy is built on fear and restriction.
But there's a bigger accusation in there.
Yeah, the actual kill shot in this memo is her accusation regarding Anthropic's run rate. She claims Anthropic is inflating its $30 billion valuation run rate by roughly $8 billion.
Yes, by exploiting the nuances of gross accounting versus net accounting in their cloud partner sales.
Wait, let me challenge this, because an $8 billion discrepancy is massive. Both OpenAI and Anthropic rely heavily on cloud providers like AWS, Google Cloud, Microsoft Azure to distribute their models to enterprise clients.
Right.
Those cloud providers take a significant percentage of the sale for providing the compute. If they are both operating on similar cloud partner margins, how can Dresser possibly claim Anthropic is the only one cooking the books?
Well, it comes down to how you report that revenue to investors under U.S. GAAP standards. Let's say an enterprise pays $100 to use Claude via AWS, and AWS keeps $20.
Okay.
Dresser is alleging that Anthropic is aggressively booking the gross revenue, the full $100, as their top-line run rate, even though $20 immediately goes to Amazon. OpenAI, conversely, claims that their Azure partnership requires them to report the net revenue, the $80 they actually keep.
Oh, and both methods are technically legal depending on how the contract defines the principal in the transaction?
Correct. But Dresser isn't just saying Anthropic makes less money. She is weaponizing GAAP standards to attack Anthropic's IPO leverage.
Ah, I see.
In SaaS valuations, companies are often valued at massive multiples of their top-line revenue, sometimes 50 times revenue or more. By claiming Anthropic is inflating that top line by $8 billion through gross accounting, she is signaling to institutional investors that Anthropic's entire $30 billion valuation is a mirage. For enterprise leaders trying to decide whether to partner with OpenAI or Anthropic based on leaked memos and inflated run rates, trusting Twitter is dangerous. Jamgamind provides the human-verified, technical-grade audio forensics required to make these strategic vendor decisions safely. Visit djamgamind.com.
The timing of this leak is what really reveals the strategy. Like, why launch this hyper-specific accounting attack today?
What's fascinating here is the Ramp corporate card data that dropped alongside it. Ramp tracks actual enterprise credit card spend on AI vendors.
Okay, what do the numbers say?
Currently, OpenAI holds 35.2% of the market, while Anthropic has surged to 30.6%. But the trend line is terrifying for OpenAI. Based on current growth, Anthropic is projected to cross over and actually beat OpenAI in enterprise market share within just 2 months.
Wait, 2 months? That is an existential threat if you are preparing an S1 filing.
Exactly. This leaked memo is not a sloppy accident by a frustrated executive. It is a highly calculated, weaponized IPO pitch. Both companies are racing toward dual initial public offerings.
Right.
If OpenAI can successfully seed the narrative in the financial press that Anthropic's market share is built on gross accounting technicalities, they blunt Anthropic's momentum right before the roadshow begins. It's pure, unadulterated pre-IPO warfare.
Man, it is incredible to watch, but it forces us to completely reevaluate how we assess these platforms. To synthesize this for you today, the agentic reality is not a theoretical white paper. It is executing on your balance sheet right now.
Right.
We have AI autonomously mismanaging physical contractor budgets on TaskRabbit. We have always-on background agents quietly rendering the 22-year-old junior developer obsolete. We are watching AI-driven ad platforms siphon billions away from traditional search, which is funding massive infrastructure hoarding like Amazon's satellite networks.
Yeah.
And the top labs are engaged in cutthroat accounting warfare to secure their valuations before the public markets open. The transition from helpful chatbot to autonomous corporate entity is officially complete.
It is complete, and it leaves us with a deeply unsettling contradiction to consider. Let's look back at the Stanford AI Index data one last time.
Okay.
The United States currently leads the globe in AI investment and data center density. We own the infrastructure. Yet, actual domestic adoption of AI tools by the public is only at 28.3%.
Wow, that low.
Even more concerning for the long-term pipeline, foreign AI research talent migrating to the U.S. has plummeted by 89% in the last year alone.
So the talent pipeline is collapsing just as the infrastructure peaks.
Yes. But the most vital statistic is public sentiment. Only 31% of Americans trust the government to manage these rapid technological changes. Earlier, we discussed how 73% of AI experts are highly optimistic about the future of jobs,
Right.
which leaves a massive majority of the public feeling entirely cynical and disconnected from this progress. So I leave you with this question.
What's that?
If AI is already out in the wild, autonomously managing corporate credit cards, bypassing search algorithms, and quietly rewriting the very foundations of the white-collar labor market, what happens when the 77% of the public who currently distrust AI wake up and realize that they are already, unknowingly, working for it?
Subscribe to AI Unraveled on Apple Podcasts to always listen completely ads-free.
That concludes our forensic business rundown for April 14th. The strategic signal for today is execution. The era of the theoretical AI pilot program is over. When a startup gives an AI agent a $100,000 budget and the autonomy to hire human workers for a retail store, the technology is moving into the physical economy. And when OpenAI's revenue chief is forced to leak an internal memo attacking Anthropic's accounting because they are terrified of losing the enterprise market share, you know the stakes have never been higher. With entry-level developer jobs dropping 20% and Microsoft building always-on corporate agents, you cannot afford to wait on the sidelines. You must deploy. If you want to own your infrastructure instead of being crushed by these shifts, your inbox full of top 50 AI tools, PDFs, isn't going to save you. You need the right stack. Head over to djamgamine.com/toolkit for my AI Executive Toolkit. I've audited the entire market to bring you a forensic vetted list of enterprise-grade solutions that actually work, complete with exclusive listener perks so you can deploy real governed infrastructure today. This episode was made possible by Area and djamgamine. Hit subscribe on Apple Podcasts to enjoy this briefing completely ads-free. I'm Etienne Newman. Stay sharp and keep unraveling the future. And before you go, if your company is building the tools that power the workflows we talked about today, I'd love to showcase them to this audience. We don't just run ads, we build technical simulations that prove your value. Let's build something together. Visit jamgamine.com/partners to get started. Until next time, keep building.